All right, hello. Welcome to Yoga with Melaminah, Gentle Yoga with Melaminah. My name is Melaminah and I will be guiding you through your practice today. So today we're going to talk about and practice forward folding. Forward folding is a great way to bring our attention and our awareness inward. With so much going on in the world right now, it can feel like a lot of things are really out of our control. And so bringing our attention and our awareness more inward is a way to kind of regroup, come home to ourselves. And even though we might feel certain things that are also not necessarily within our control, we can learn to kind of be with them, be gentle, and to just simply observe, watch, and notice without trying to change. So even in our internal landscape, we might experience different emotions, and emotions are not necessarily logical. Emotions are not something that we can control either. Emotions are simply our body's reaction to something that's happening. And so we can start with that internal world and just simply witness and notice what is. Just be with what is. So we'll be practicing that a bit today. And this is Gracie, one of our yoga mascots. I'm sure she'll be in and out as we go along. So let's actually start in child's pose this morning. Oh, a couple of things before we officially get started. You might want to grab a strap or a belt or a dish towel or a sweater or anything that you can use as like a yoga strap if you don't have one. That will most likely come in handy later. And if you'd like, you might even want to grab a pillow or a blanket. Sometimes when we're in a seated position, it's nice to elevate the hips a little bit. That can help us in our forward folding. And we're actually going to start in child's pose this morning. And this is another place where a blanket might come in handy. If we've got sensitive knees and if we'd like to provide a little bit of support for the knees this morning, we can place the blanket at the back of our legs and then start to sink our hips towards our heels. We're going to start with big toes together, knees nice and wide on the mat, and extending the arms out in front of us, coming into child's pose. So just noticing that with the blanket back here, we can put a pillow there too. It just elevates the hips a little bit and takes any added pressure away from the knees. So we can play with that today. If that feels good, we can keep that there. We're going to start with the arms extended. So let's walk the fingers as far away as we can possibly get them. And then we'll soften the hands down into the mat. Let's keep the shoulders lifting, the elbows lifting. So we're in a little bit of an active child's pose this morning. Forehead might be resting on the mat, or maybe we're sliding a yoga brick underneath our head. If we don't have a brick, we can grab a really thick book and place that underneath. And let's just take a couple of moments here, closing the eyes, noticing the sounds in the room. And then bringing the awareness a little bit closer. So maybe starting to tune into the sound of your own breath. Feeling the rise and the fall of the belly, noticing how the torso expands on the inhale, noticing where we feel that. We might feel the rib cage expanding into the sides of the legs. And with each exhale, a gentle softening, sinking towards the floor. And while we're here in this active child's pose, the hands are engaged, the arms are engaged, and at the same time, seeing where we can soften the edges.
So releasing any tension that we might be holding. And just coming into a soft awareness of the body, of the floor, of the support underneath us. And then if the awareness has drifted away from the breath, once again, bringing the awareness there once again. And we'll be here for a few more cycles of breath, just feeling and breathing. And reminding ourselves that as we move through practice, we're always listening into our body, doing what feels good and right and best in that exact moment. Knowing that our needs change from moment to moment, and just giving ourselves permission to respond accordingly. So after this next exhale, let's start to bring some more movement to the body. We'll just gently rock our forehead from side to side, massaging across the brow bone, across the forehead. Maybe opening and closing the jaw a couple of times, releasing any tension that may have been built up here. We can even wiggle the jaw from side to side if we'd like. And then let's come up just a little bit, enough to bring the elbows down to the mat. We're gonna bring the hands together, bringing the hands into prayer pose. We might even walk the elbows forward a little bit more. And then from here, shoulder blades lift up as the heart melts towards the mat. Maybe the forehead comes to the floor again, maybe not. And then let's just bend the elbows here. And we can straighten once again. And we'll just floss back and forth a time or two. Let's keep pressing the hands strongly towards each other, getting a little bit of strength in the shoulders here. And then if we'd like, we can pause with the thumbs coming towards the back of our heart. Little bit of a shoulder strengthener and shoulder opener all at the same time. So let's keep pressing the hands strongly into each other. Just notice how that feels in the shoulders. And then at the same time, getting a nice gentle stretch underneath the armpit for one more breath. And we'll go ahead and release the hands. Let's bring the hands down to the mat, and we'll inhale, coming all the way up to our all fours position. So let's move the blanket out of the way for a moment if we were using one. We'll bring the hands to the mat, spreading the fingers nice and wide. Hands directly underneath the shoulders. Let's take the knees right underneath the hips, and we'll just move our spine in a cat and a cow for a couple of breaths. So inhaling, drawing the belly down towards the mat, lifting the head, lifting the tail, and then exhaling, rounding the spine as we tuck chin towards chest, scooping the tailbone under. We'll do that a couple more times. Let's move with the breath, inhaling, drawing the belly down, lifting the heart, lifting the tail, and then exhaling to round. Spreading the fingers nice and wide. Let's press all four corners of the palm down into the mat. And then with the finger pads, we can even grip the mat with our finger pads. So we're activating the hands here, helping to create a buoyancy in the wrist, protecting the wrist. And at the same time, strengthening the arms, strengthening the scaffolding that supports the heart. Good, we'll do one more just like that. And then on our next inhale, let's go ahead and come back to a neutral spine. We'll come to standing on our knees. So if we need a little extra support for the knee, we can grab that blanket again. I'm gonna unfold mine a little bit and come onto our knees here. So let's extend the left leg out to the side, hands on our hips to start with. We're gonna balance some of our forward folding with some side bending as well. So let's take that right arm up into the sky, big breath here, and then exhale over towards the left. Gate pose, opening up the right side of the body here, pressing the knee into the floor, and then actively reaching up through the fingertips. Anything that feels good for the neck here. We might look down at the mat, or maybe straight ahead, or maybe even starting to turn our gaze underneath our arm. This left hand can stay on our hip or maybe come down to our thigh or maybe even down to our shin. Just not right on the knee itself. So somewhere above or below the knee. Nice big opening for the side of the body here. Let's take an inhale to open up, and then exhale, we'll cartwheel the hand all the way down to the mat. I'm gonna use my fist today. So maybe you wanna put your fist down as well, right underneath the shoulder. Let's bring the left hand to the left hip again. We'll press the hips forward and maybe take the gaze up, maybe the left arm reaches up. If we want more, we can take the left leg up as well. Spreading fingers, spreading toes. If the leg is lifted, think about lifting from the inner thigh, pressing that inner thigh up towards the ceiling, and then with the hips, let's press them forward so that we get a nice strengthening in this right hip flexor. Continuing to breathe as we open up the front and the side body here. Super strong lifted leg if it's lifted. And then one more option if we want it. We can bend the knee, maybe catch the foot with our hand, press the hips forward, feel the heart open, and at the same time pressing our foot into our hand for a kneeling Ardha Chandra Chipasana. So a kneeling, balancing half moon variation. And then again, anything for the neck that feels good here as we open our heart, breathing into that quadricep as we open that thigh up a little bit too. Last breath here, wherever we're at. Good, if we've got that foot, let's go ahead and release it. We'll bring the leg all the way down to the floor, and then let's take our arm, that lifted arm, forward and around. Good, we'll come into a little bit of a forward fold here. So the left leg is still out to the left side, toes towards the long edge of the mat. Let's glue the outside edge of the foot down into the floor, and we'll just take a couple little cats and cows here. They might be like calves and kittens. They might be little this time, and that's okay, just moving the spine a little bit. Good, let's come back to that neutral spine. We'll walk the left hand forward. Let's bring it towards the midline, tensing up onto the fingers, right arm out to the side, and then on the exhale, we'll take that right hand towards the left foot, coming into a twist. So maybe we have the right ear on the ground, or maybe we start to bring the weight towards the back of our head a little bit. As we walk the left hand forward, we can also walk it towards the right. Elbow up towards the sky, coming into a twist. Good, opening up into the space right in between the shoulder blades here, creating some space in the back of our heart center as we continue to breathe. So just noticing how we feel as we move our body into these different shapes. And noticing what arises organically without trying to shift or change or alter anything, just being with whatever sensations come up. Let's go ahead and walk our left hand back into our line of sight. We'll give ourselves a press to come up. Let's do a counter twist here, just unwind a little bit, lifting the right hand and then both hands down to the mat. Good, let's bring the left leg in. We'll come back to a cat and a cow just once or twice here, just to realign the spine. Come back towards neutral. And then let's come back to kneeling on our knees. So knees right underneath the hips, lining those up. We'll take the shoulders back and down. Let's interlace our hands behind our back. I'll turn sideways here. So interlacing the hands behind the back, let's press the palms together. So that might mean we need to bend the elbows a lot to make that happen. And then let's roll the shoulders back, start to draw the elbows towards each other, and just notice how that creates a tiny lift in the heart. So a little teeny tiny back bend starting to happen. Maybe we stay here with the hands resting on our low back, or maybe we start to lengthen the arms. So as we lengthen, we'll keep the palms together start to squeeze skin to muscle, muscle to bone, so that it's the shoulder blades that continue to come in towards the heart and press forward here. Good. Starting to lift the heart up. We'll keep a teeny tiny little bend in the elbows to protect the elbow joint. Let's press the hips forward as we come into a little back bend heart opener. Let's keep the spine nice and long. So we'll tuck the chin towards the chest a little bit, squeezing the glutes, turning them on, helping to protect the low back. We're here for one more breath. Good. Let's go ahead and release, and we'll make our way into that child's pose again. So if we want, we can bring the blanket or pillow behind the knees again, or we can go without it this time. Knees nice and wide, big toes together, forehead resting on the mat. This time, let's take the hands beside the body, hands by the feet, and just rest. Maybe rocking gently from side to side. And noticing what it feels like to come back inward after opening the heart. We've done potentially 2 back bends now. So just noticing what it's like to counterbalance that by rounding in a little bit, drawing the awareness back inward, reconnecting with the breath. And then let's extend the arms once again. We'll come back up to our all fours and make our way into standing on our knees. Good. So let's explore the second side. We'll take the right foot out towards the side here. Toes facing the long edge of the mat. And let's press the pinky toe side edge down into the floor. So the tendency is for the foot to kind of roll in, but we're going to press that foot down. Maybe even starting to feel a lift through the inner arch that continues all the way up into the inner thigh. Hands on hips, let's press the hips forward, start to squeeze this leg straight. So activating the quadricep here. Maybe feeling the hamstring a little bit as well. Let's inhale, left arm up this time, and we'll plug that shoulder down into the socket. Big breath right here in the center. And then exhaling over to the second side. So we get to determine how deeply we get into these poses today. So maybe we stay right here, or maybe we start to deepen a little bit by taking our hand lower, or maybe even below the knee. Good, let's press the hips forward, and then maybe we look up, maybe straight ahead, or maybe even down, listening to our neck. Softening the shoulder away from the ear, let's spread the fingers. We'll take that shoulder back, rolling that shoulder open, so opening up the heart as well. Staying connected with long, smooth, slow, deep breaths. On our next inhale, let's come all the way up. And on the exhale, we'll cartwheel that hand down to the mat. Let's make a fist today. So we want to take the fist out a little bit so that when we lift the leg, if we lift the leg, our shoulder will be right on top of our wrist. We don't want to be too close because then we lose a lot of balance that way. So we'll bring our fist out a little bit. Let's press the hips forward. Keep squeezing this leg straight. And then maybe that right arm starts to reach into the sky. We can place a book on the floor if that feels better for us. Just opening up the side body here. And if we lifted the leg on the first side, let's explore that option here as well. So right leg lifting, squeezing that leg, skin to muscle, muscle to bone. Let's spread the fingers, spread the toes, press the hips forward. And then final option is to bend that knee, maybe catch the foot. If we choose this option, let's press the foot into the hand and let that action gently press the heart forward as well. We want to see if we can keep the inner thigh parallel to the mat. So sometimes when we lift that leg, it kind of does wonky things, but let's see if we can keep the knee pointing towards the back edge of our mat The inner thigh parallel to the floor, heart opening. Whatever feels good for the neck here. We're here for 2 more cycles of breath, whatever version we've chosen. And let's go ahead and release the foot if we've got it. We'll bring the foot down. And then same thing here. We're going to circle that top arm, walk the hands forward towards the side edge of our mat. Let's check in with this foot again. Gluing that right foot down, toes forward towards the long edge of our mat. And then this time the right hand comes forward. So let's tent up onto the fingertips, giving ourselves some more space. This right hand comes towards the midline of our mat. Inhaling, left arm out. Exhaling, let's take that left hand over towards our right foot. So a bit of a diagonal with that arm. We'll keep squeezing the leg straight as we walk our right hand forward and over towards the left a little bit. If we're more on the back of our head, let's tuck the chin towards the chest. Staying long in the back of the neck. Belly drawing in to assist with this twist. And then that elbow points up towards the ceiling. Breathing. Last breath. And then we'll start to roll towards the floor a little bit. Let's bring the right hand into our line of sight. Press down to rise up, and then a gentle twist to the second side, twisting towards the left, and then both hands down. Let's take a little calf and kitten here. Just a gentle movement of the spine to bring ourselves back towards neutral. And then we'll walk the right foot in. Let's come back to our knees, and we'll find that chest opener on this side, or again, we'll explore that again. So let's take the hands behind our back, interlacing our second favorite way. So doing what feels normal, kind of natural, and then just moving the fingers over one. Squeezing the wrists, rolling the shoulders back and down, hugging the elbows together. Maybe this is it. Maybe we stay right here. Let's drop the tailbone down. So if the tail is lifted, it puts a lot of stress on our low back. So let's drop the tail down, creating space in the low back here, space to bend into, back bend into. And then maybe we start to squeeze the arms towards straight, knuckles towards the earth, and then tucking the chin just a little. We can take our gaze to the junction between the wall and the ceiling. We're here for one more breath. This is a camel pose variation. Good, and then let's go ahead and release, and we'll make our way into child's once again. So big toes together, feet or knees nice and wide, walking the arms out, softening the heart, softening the forehead. And then yogi's choice, maybe arms extended, or we can bring the arms in, whatever feels good and restful for you. Rocking gently or staying in stillness. Good, and then let's extend the arms if they aren't already. We'll press ourselves up, and let's go ahead and transition into a seated position. So this is another place where if we would like a blanket, we can grab one. So I'm just gonna fold it into thirds here, and then use that as a little cushion to sit on. So if you're sitting on a blanket or a pillow, let's make sure we're sitting towards the front of it, kind of towards the edge a little bit. This is gonna help the pelvis tilt just a little bit, so that it actually brings the pelvis into a neutral position, and we can sit up nice and tall with a straight spine. So if we've got that strap or a belt or a dish towel or whatever it is that we have, let's go ahead and grab it now. we're gonna loop it around the ball of the foot. So the ball of the foot is that space right underneath the toes. And we'll loop it around there. Let's take a soft hold on the ends of the strap. So sometimes when we get a strap, we end up squeezing it for dear life and white knuckling it. But let's see if we can relax the hands, relax the arms, just enough engagement to hold the strap, but not so much over efforting. So we'll start to engage the legs. Let's spread the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel. So flexing the foot a little bit, curling the toes back towards the face. The thighs, pressing the thighs down. So noticing that when we do that, the heels might magically float away from the earth. That's okay if that happens. Inhaling, sitting up nice and tall with a straight spine, reaching up through the crown of the head. And then let's keep the heart lifted, going forward, so that when we start to fold, we're going to fold very slowly today. When we start to fold, we're folding with a straight spine. So a lot of times what happens is we start to curl in and the heart kind of goes backwards, and then we get this big rounding in the spine. Today we're going to try to resist that. So let's keep the heart lifted. The heart will go out towards the toes, shoulders down and relaxed, away from the ears, belly drawing in and up, almost imagining like we could tuck our belly button underneath our rib cage. And then folding super, super slow today. Good. There will be a point eventually where it feels like you get kind of like you hit a little stopping point. Once you hit that point, let's inhale and re-lengthen the spine. So just a tiny little lift up. And then from there, folding in a little more deeply. And then one more time, inhaling, halfway lifting, so not all the way, just a little. And then exhaling to fold once again. So we may not make it super far today, and that's all right. We can continue to use this strap if we'd like, or we can release the strap and just press our hands onto the floor beside us. But let's keep thinking about pressing the thighs down into the floor. Simultaneously, we're pressing the feet forward as if we were pressing our feet into an imaginary wall, curling the toes towards the face, belly lifting in and up. If we could touch, our entire torso would be flat, laying down on our legs. That's what we want to think. It may not be a reality today, and that's all right, but just imagining that. Imagine that your entire torso could lay flat directly down on the legs. So the belly's drawing in and up, a nice crease in our waistline to help fold us in half, shoulders rolling down. And then maybe the final little touch is to tuck the chin towards the chest. So the tiniest little rounding in the neck and upper back as we start to draw that awareness more inward. We can close the eyes if we'd like. Maybe opening and closing the jaw a couple of times, relaxing, creating space between the teeth. And then noticing that without even doing anything, each inhale creates a tiny little bit of space. And each exhale is a natural invitation to surrender into that space. And the breath is just doing this all on its own. There's really nothing that you actively need to do. On our next inhale, let's take the hands and walk them up, coming out of our forward fold. So we'll move the strap off to the side just for a moment, but let's keep it close. And then we'll widen the legs. If you want to continue to sit up on a blanket or pillow, you can. I'm going to move mine out of the way for a moment for this next posture. And we'll keep a hold onto our strap for a moment. Let's take the legs nice and wide this time. So we might need to rearrange our sitting bones. So the hands can come behind the legs, pressing down. We're going to tilt the pelvis just a little bit, thinking about the belly button tilting down so that we can sit up on the sits bones. So the sits bones are those bony protrusions on our underside. And again, letting our spine be nice and long, reaching up through the crown of the head. So let's turn the toes towards the sky. We're going to keep them there through this whole pose, which might be a challenge, but that's okay. Pressing the thighs down into the floor, so activating the legs. Pressing out through the feet and simultaneously think about hugging in towards the inner thighs, drawing them in towards the midline. So there's dynamic tension here as the bottoms of the feet move away and the inner thighs move in. So we're stretching the entire leg outside and inside. We can keep a tiny bend in the knees if we need to. That's totally fine. If we have super tight hamstrings, no worries. We can bend the knees a little bit. Let's bring the hands in front, sitting up nice and tall, lengthening. And then same thing, let's hinge at our hip crease, keep the heart lifted as we start to fold down. We can take it really slowly. So walking the hands forward, checking in with the feet. Most likely they're gonna wanna fall in, but let's keep pressing back. So it's almost like there's a string attached to our pinky toe to the wall behind, gently pulling them back so the toes stay up. We'll take a halfway lift here and then exhale, fold a little bit more. Good, another one, breath, big breath, inhale, and then exhale, walk it out. So maybe we only get to here today, that's totally fine. Maybe our entire torso can lay on the ground, that's fine too. Wherever we are, let's stay connected to the legs. So inner or thigh muscle, quadricep pressing down, toes spreading, and breathing. Nice long spine here. And then maybe our hands come down, maybe the forearms come down. Wherever we are, let's make sure the back is still long. So as soon as the back rounds, that's our cue to know we've gone too far. We can come back up a little bit. Keeping the heart lifted. We might even start to put a gentle pressure into our hands to press the sitting bones towards the floor. Sometimes they start to move up and away. And then maybe if we'd like, we can let the chin release. Breathing into the back of the neck as the neck lengthens. Full deep cycles of breath, in through the nose, out through the nose. Nice long hold on this one. We'll be here for 2 more cycles of breath. Letting the attention turn inward, letting the rest of the room, the rest of the world kind of fall away. And then on our next inhale, let's use the hands to walk ourselves all the way back up. Beautiful. So we'll grab our strap again. And for this next one, we can draw the legs in a little bit. Sometimes with the legs super wide, it's just a little bit too much of a strain. So we can bring the legs in just a little if we'd like. And we'll move the flesh away from the sitting bones. So making some adjustments here. If we didn't do that already, or if we need to readjust, we can. But just making sure the flesh is out of the way so that, again, we can find that beautiful long spine. And then let's take the strap around the ball of the left foot. So the reason why we're going around the ball of the foot is so that we have something to press into. When we flex our foot, we're always pressing through the ball and the heel at the same time. And so this way, when we put the strap around the ball of the foot, there's something to kind of press into. Toes are curling back towards our face. Inhaling, lifting. Let's turn our torso towards this extended leg here. And let's also keep this right leg in mind. So we're still anchoring the right sitting bone down, lengthening through the crown, softening the shoulders, leading with the heart, exhaling, folding. So this right leg or this right sitting bone is going to want to lift up. Let's see if we can anchor it down. Keep it connected to the floor so we get a nice lengthening in our low back here. Keep walking it out. We can release the strap if we want, or we can continue to hold. I prefer to have my hands on the floor. I feel like it really helps me to press into the floor and keep this right sitting bone down in contact with the floor. So let's lift up halfway, belly draws in, maybe turning our heart a little bit more, making adjustments, and then exhaling, folding in, maybe releasing our nose towards our knee, and reminding ourselves that there is no destination. There's no place that we're trying to get to today except for sensation. So as long as we're feeling and breathing, we're doing it right. Continuing to press the hips towards the floor, the sitting bones towards the floor. If we want more in our low back, we can take our right hand to the outside edge of our foot. Maybe we hold the foot, or maybe we just rest our hand on the floor, and then we can deepen into the right side body, especially on the back here. So really opening up into the low back as we breathe. On our next inhale, let's lift the head up. We'll walk our hands all the way back up, coming back into an upright position. So let's take that strap and we'll move it over to the second side. So let's loop the strap around the ball of the right foot, holding both ends of the strap, one in each hand. Making whatever adjustments we need to. We might need to peel the skin out from underneath our sitting bones again. And that's okay. Let's lengthen the spine first. We always want to fold from a flat back. So acknowledging this left leg, even though we're turning our attention away from it, we don't want to leave it just dangling out there in space. So let's keep anchoring down through the hip, staying connected energetically to this leg as we turn our torso over to the right. Inhaling, long spine, exhaling with a flat back. Think about heart towards toes, belly drawing in and up, bottom ribs drawing in and up too. So that if we could, again, if we could flatten our entire torso onto our leg, the bottom ribs would be kind of sweeping up underneath us. Good. So either holding the strap or not, hands on the sides if we prefer. Inhale, lifting halfway, re-lengthening the spine, and then exhaling to fold more deeply. Energetically pressing this left sitting bone down, staying connected to the left leg as we fold towards the right. Maybe the chin tucks towards the chest a little bit, breathing into the nice long spine, nice long neck here. Closing the eyes if that feels good, softening the jaw. Softening the skin across the forehead and around the corners of the eyes as we breathe into the back of the legs, the spine, the neck. Giving our nervous system a break as we turn our awareness inward, letting go of anything else that may be happening around us. On our next inhale, let's lift the head and we'll walk the hands back up.
We forgot one thing, so we're gonna go back in. So let's keep the heart towards the right leg. Keep lengthening. Big inhale. On the exhale, let's fold. We're gonna be here for a couple breaths. Just to give us an opportunity, if we chose, we can take that left hand over towards the pinky toe side edge of our right foot, and now we're breathing more deeply into the low back on the left side. So just want to give us a chance to be symmetrical. If we chose this option on the first side, we can do this on the second side. Anchoring that left sit bone down, getting nice and long in the low back here. Letting go of the head and neck, breathing. We'll be here for 2 more cycles of breath. And then one hand on either side of the leg, inhaling, lifting ourselves back up. Good work. Okay, so we can move our strap off to the side again for a moment, kind of get it out of the way a little bit. And then the legs have been out to the sides for quite a while now, so let's take the hands inside the knees and gently draw the legs back towards each other. We'll bring the knees together. Let's just give ourselves a little hug, curl into a tight little ball for a moment. And then we'll open it up. We can slide the legs away from us, removing the skin and flesh out from under the sit bones. And we're gonna find that forward fold one more time. So let's take the strap around the ball of the feet. Oh, my strap's all twisted. There we go. And sitting up nice and tall, spreading the toes, strong feet, pressing down through the thighs, lifting through the crown of the head, exhaling, folding in. And just noticing how this fold might feel similar or different from the first time we were here. Maybe with the legs out towards the sides, we've opened up into new areas that we didn't notice quite as much before, and that's okay. We can continue to hold the strap, or we can bring our hands to the sides if we'd like. We'll take a halfway lift, lengthen the spine, and then exhale and fold more deeply. Maybe we get to the same point. Maybe we have discovered new space that we're now exploring. Either way is perfect. Just being wherever we are, our awareness drawing inward, witnessing whatever it is that is alive in this moment without judgment, without expectation. And then on our next inhale, let's walk the hands back up, lift the head, and we'll come back to that seated position. Okay, beautiful, beautiful job. So I would like to ask us to sweep the legs out behind us, and we've got 2 options for this next posture. Option number 1 is to move into pigeon pose. So for pigeon pose, we're gonna come into our all fours, and then let's take the left knee forward. We'll turn the leg at about a 90-degree angle. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we'll walk the right leg back a little bit. Let's press through the big toe mound a lot. So big toe mound, pinky toe mound, so that this ankle stays nice and straight. If we'd like, or if we need to, we can take that blanket or a brick or a book or whatever and slide it underneath the left hip to give ourselves a little bit of assistance in staying upright. Sometimes we tend to lean to one side through no fault of our own. So if we need that, we've got it. And then inhaling, lifting, exhaling, we can fold in half. Option for the head is to stack the hands, stack the fists, and rest our forehead on our fists. Or we can rest on the back of the hands, or we can extend the arms nice and long and rest our forehead on the floor. If this does not feel kind to our knee, we have option number 2. Option number 2 is to come onto our back. So
supine pigeon, laying down pigeon. We'll come onto our back, bend the knees. Let's take the left ankle across the right thigh. And then with our hip, with our leg strength, we'll press the knee away. So I'm not using my hands, I'm not using a brick or anything else, but I'm using the internal musculature to press the knee away. Spreading the toes, pressing through the ball and the heel, and then maybe we lift the right leg up, coming into figure 4, AKA laying down pigeon. So choosing the hip opener that feels best in your body today. And wherever we are, continuing to breathe and surrender. So letting each exhale soften us into the pose a little bit more. If we're in laying down pigeon or figure 4 pose, let's see if we can soften the upper body a little bit. Can we hold behind the leg without straining the upper body, without straining the arms, the shoulders? Full deep cycles of breath. All right, beautiful job. If we're lying on our back, let's bring both feet back down to the mat and we'll simply switch sides. So taking the right ankle over the left knee, pressing the right knee away using the internal force, the muscles in our leg. If we're in pigeon pose, we're gonna lean over to the left side, sweep the right leg out from behind us, and just come to a seated position for a moment. We can give ourselves a big hug, kind of taking a moment in a neutral position. And then if we'd like, we can just simply cross the right leg in front, sweep the left leg behind. If it's easier or more gentle for you to come into the pose the same way, we can come back to our all fours, draw the right knee forward, and then take the leg at about a 90-degree angle. So just getting into the pose in the way that feels best for your body. If you're still lying on your back, we'll stay there for a few more breaths as those who want to come into pigeon situate themselves here. Again, maybe taking a blanket or a brick underneath that hip. And then anything that feels good for the upper body, arms straight, arms in, forehead resting, wherever feels supportive. Whichever option we've chosen, let's breathe into the outer hip. Feeling that outer hip opening up with each breath. Good. We'll be here for 2 more cycles of breath. Just softening into the pose, letting go of any extra holding. If we're lying on our back, we can release both feet to the ground. If we're in pigeon, we'll lift the head, walk the hands back up, and we can move any props out from underneath us. Let's lean over towards the right side and sweep the left leg out in front of us once again. If we're on our spine, let's stay there. If we were in pigeon, we can hold on behind one knee and roll onto our back. We will all hug our knees in towards our chest, maybe rocking gently from side to side. Let's take the legs up into the air for a moment. So a little bit of a reverse forward fold with the legs in the sky. We can also do this up against the wall if we'd like. We can slide our hips right up to the baseboard and then bring the legs up the wall and just let the wall hold our lower body. That's a really great way to end the day, especially for those of us who maybe have a job where you're standing a lot, on your feet a lot. Bringing the legs into the sky helps to reverse the blood flow so it can release any swelling in the low body, swelling in the ankles or the feet. This is also a really great pose if you've been traveling. Not that very many of us are traveling at the moment, but when we're allowed to get on airplanes again, we can put the legs up the wall after a long flight to help with any swelling in the legs or helping to prevent compartmentalization, what's it called? Oh shoot, now I can't think of the word. Compartment syndrome, yes, there we go. If we want to keep the legs straight, we can. If we want to come into happy baby, this is also an inversion. So we'll take the pinky toe edges of our feet, arms inside the legs, and then maybe we're rocking gently, or maybe we're playing with extending one leg and then the other. Whatever feels good here. Softening the jaw, softening the shoulders. And then let's bend the knees. We'll bring the feet together. We can hold the feet here if we'd like, or if we find it more supportive, we can take the legs under the arms and hold the feet this way. Whatever feels better for you. And then we can take the knees out towards the sides a little bit. Let's press the feet into each other. Just letting the feet fall towards the groin any amount. Again, there's no destination, no place to get to. Just breathing and feeling. Let's go ahead and release the feet. We'll bring the knees towards each other. Let's bring the feet to the ground. And we'll lengthen the right leg out in front of us. Let's keep the left foot on the floor for a moment. We'll bump the hips over towards the left and then twist over towards the right. Wiggling the shoulders out from underneath us, maybe even looking out over the left hand. We can keep this top knee bent, or if we want a deeper opening on the outer hip, outer leg, we can practice lengthening the leg out to the side. If we choose this option, let's press through the ball and the heel. Hips are still stacked, so we might need to make another adjustment again. And then shoulder blades still moving down towards the floor. So with the legs straight, it is a bit of a deeper opening, especially in the low back, the outer hip, the outer leg. We'll keep squeezing that leg straight, so some activity in that leg if it's straight. If the knee is bent, we can just relax it. So choosing which option feels best for us right now. As we breathe into the spine, giving ourselves a nice big twist here. Let's take an inhale to come back to center. We'll reposition the hips. And then let's extend the left leg out, spreading the toes. Lengthening that leg away from us. We can use this right foot on the floor to bump the hips over towards the right and then drop the knee over towards the left. So situating ourselves so that the hips are stacked. Wiggling that left shoulder out from underneath us. Maybe we look out over the right fingertips. And then same thing here. If we wish, we can extend the leg out. I'm out of room on this side, but if you want, you can extend the right leg, just deepening into that opening in the low back, the outer hip, outer leg area. Breathing full deep cycles of breath, feeling the belly rise and fall with each inhale, each exhale. And then on our next breath, if the leg is straight, let's go ahead and bend the knee. And we'll make our way back onto our spine. Let's hug the knees in towards the chest one more time. We'll hold behind the knees today to protect the knee joint. We can rock gently if we'd like. If we wish, we can even rock forwards and backwards along the length of the spine. Just giving ourselves a little back massage if that feels good. The more tightly we roll into a ball, the easier this is. Good. And then once we've had enough of that, we can come onto our back once again. Maybe we bring the bottoms of the feet together for Supta Baddha Konasana, lying down butterfly pose. If we choose this option, let's squeeze the feet together, lift the hips for a moment, and scoop the tailbone under so that our low back is a little more, well, it won't be flat on the floor, but we want the back of our hips, the back of our pelvis to be flat on the floor. That way we create space in the low back. And then we can roll the shoulder blades under. If we want to make this posture our Shavasana, we can. We can also slide some bricks underneath the knees or books underneath the knees if we need a little support here. And we can end our practice with a hip opener, a groin opener. If we want to come into traditional Shavasana, we can extend the legs nice and long, taking the legs towards the corners of our mat, letting the feet flop open, and then same thing with the shoulders. We'll roll them under. Palms can flip towards the ceiling. Softening the eyes. And whichever posture we've chosen, let's take a cleansing breath. So in through the nose, filling up. Open mouth, exhale. Letting the breath go, letting the body sink into the mat. The time for doing is complete. And now we come to our ultimate inward focused pose, Shavasana.
If you wish to remain in your Shavasana for longer, please do. And if you're ready to end your practice, please begin to deepen the breath. Feeling the belly rise and fall with each breath. Maintaining this sense of inner stillness and inner peace as we begin to whisper gentle movement into fingers and toes. Beginning to reawaken to this time, this space, these bodies. And when you're ready for more, maybe circling wrists and ankles, maybe even exploring a full body stretch, taking the arms overhead, the feet forward. And when you're ready, bending both knees, gently rolling to one side, pausing for a breath here. Tuning into any shifts or transformation or changes that have occurred during your practice, whether they be mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. With as little effort as possible, let's make our way up into seated position once again, closing the eyes, uniting the hands together in front of the heart space, bowing the chin towards the chest in a symbol of gratitude for this opportunity to move our bodies, to be on our mat, and to practice in some semblance of community. May our yoga practice be an opportunity for us to turn our awareness and attention inward, focusing on what arises, witnessing it, just watching it without judgment, without expectation, getting comfortable with our internal landscape so that no matter what is happening around us, we can feel grounded and supported from within. Thank you so much for coming to practice today. Thank you for practicing yoga. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. My name is Melaminah. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or interpretive dances, you can leave them in the comments below, or you can reach me via my website, melaminah.com. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you feel called and would like to make a donation for this practice today, you can do that as well on my website, melaminah.com. There's a button in the upper right-hand corner that says Donate Now, and you can just click that and enter any amount that feels good for you. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.